Welcome to IP Concerns Deep Dive, the podcast version of our IP Concerns blog from Cascade Law Group. Here, we unpack intellectual property related, real business and brand protection topics in a way that actually makes sense, no legal experience required.
When you walk down the aisle of a big box store today, or you're just like scrolling through a massive online retailer, you are essentially surrounded by ghosts.
Ghosts. Okay, that is a very ominous way to start this deep dive.
Right. Well, friendly, colorful, nostalgic ghosts from your childhood. You see a familiar cartoon character on a t-shirt or a classic logo on a coffee mug.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Your brain automatically registers it as this warm, friendly, creative endeavor.
Exactly. We think of these brands as, living, breathing, almost magical entities that exist just to make us smile.
Right. There is a very deep, very human emotional connection at play there. We project a lot of warmth and humanity onto those logos, because they're tied to our earliest memories.
But, and this is the crazy part, behind that warm, fuzzy feeling is a really cold, highly calculated, and practically invisible architecture.
Oh, absolutely. It's totally invisible to the average consumer.
Yeah, you think of those characters as creative endeavors. But the truth is, when massive brands change hands today, the buyers aren't paying for the artwork or the legacy.
No, not at all. And they certainly aren't buying factories, that's for sure.
Right. They are buying invisible, highly calculated legal fences.
Legal fences. That is a great way to put it.
Thanks. So our mission today, looking at this really insightful article called What Happens When a Company Takes Over Another's IP, is to understand exactly what is being bought and sold when world-famous brands are acquired.
And crucially, why the physical stuff just doesn't matter anymore.
Yes, exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. This topic is going to completely change how you look at your favorite childhood brands on store shelves today. So, when a corporate titan initiates a takeover today, what is actually going into their shopping cart?
Well, if you rewind a few decades to the era of the 1980s corporate raiders, a corporate takeover was intensely physical.
Like Gordon Gekko style stuff?
Right, exactly. You pictured a conglomerate buying up actual manufacturing plants, sprawling warehouses full of inventory, fleets of delivery trucks.
Maybe like prime retail storefronts on Main Street, too.
Yeah, you were buying the physical means of production and distribution.
Yeah.
But in a modern takeover, those physical assets are basically an afterthought.
An afterthought, right? Really?
Yeah, often they're actually viewed as a liability. The true crown jewels of a modern acquisition reside entirely in intellectual property, or IP.
Intellectual property. We hear that term thrown around boardrooms and tech blogs constantly, right?
All the time, yeah.
But let's define the actual mechanics of that. In the context of these massive consumer brands, what is the IP, really?
We are talking about the legal framework. Trademarks, copyrights, patents, and trade secrets.
So just words on paper, essentially.
Pretty much. Those are the intangible, invisible legal parameters that define a brand's identity and its consumer equity.
And just to clarify for everyone listening, consumer equity is basically just the measurable financial value of how much people trust and recognize the brand, right?
Exactly. When a company executes a takeover of an IP today, they aren't buying the warehouse where the toys are made.
Right.
They are buying the exclusive legal right to monetize an intangible concept.
Okay, let me see if I can translate this into a physical mechanism because it's a bit abstract. Tell me if this analogy tracks.
Lay it on me.
It's like realizing that if you want to get incredibly wealthy in the pastry business, the absolute worst thing you could do is own a physical brick-and-mortar bakery.
Right, because if you own the actual bakery, you have to buy the ovens, you have to fix the plumbing when it breaks.
Yeah, you have to hire the bakers, deal with late flour shipments. It's just endless overhead.
So what's the alternative in this analogy?
The real money, like the ultimate power position, is owning the secret recipe itself. But crucially, it's not just having the recipe.
Okay, what is it then?
It's having the absolute ironclad legal power to stop anyone else on planet Earth from baking it.
Yes, exactly. You own the concept of the pastry, and you own the legal fence around it.
And you just sit back and watch.
Well, what's fascinating here is how that shifts the entire business model. Because once you own that legal fence, you don't bake the pastries yourself anymore.
Oh, right. You just charge thousands of other bakeries a royalty fee for the privilege of baking your concept.
Exactly. When a buyer purchases that exclusive legal right it almost always triggers a massive operational transition.
Which means the brand stops being this, like, under-commercialized creative endeavor.
Yep, and it is transformed into a highly optimized global licensing engine.
And a global licensing engine operates on a completely different set of physical laws than a traditional business.
Oh, totally different laws.
I really want to ground this in the real world because talking about intangible concepts and legal fences can get abstract pretty quickly.
Yeah, we need a concrete example.
Right. And looking at the research we have in front of us from the article, there is a perfect, somewhat unexpected blueprint for this dynamic.
Which is?
The Care Bears franchise.
Ah, yes. The Care Bears. I mean, that's a brand that almost everyone has some kind of latent memory of.
Oh, absolutely.
Or, at least you recognize it instantly from the silhouette alone.
The history here is pure Americana nostalgia. They were introduced way back in 1982, and they didn't even start as a sprawling entertainment property.
No, they didn't. What were they originally again?
They started as a line of greeting cards by American Greetings. It was literally just a way to sell folded paper.
Wow, just folded paper.
Yeah, but from there, over 4 decades, they evolved into this absolute multi-billion-dollar empire.
Toys, animated television series, apparel, lunchboxes, you name it.
Exactly. For 40 years, it was an absolute staple of children's entertainment.
And for a long time, the underlying IP, the legal rights to that entire universe, was held by an entity called Cloudco Entertainment.
Yeah.
And they managed it like a traditional entertainment company.
Mm.
But there is a pivotal shift that perfectly illustrates how corporate takeovers rewrite a brand's commercial DNA.
And this shift took place in 2023, right?
Yes, in 2023.
Right. So in 2023, 2 independent private equity sponsors entered the picture, Ivis Consumer Partners and Cloverlay.
Yeah, they teamed up, acquired Cloudco Entertainment, and took total control of the Care Bears IP.
Now, just to be clear, when we say private equity sponsors, we are talking about investment management firms that pool money to buy companies.
Right, and they usually restructure them to maximize their financial efficiency, aiming to sell them for a massive profit down the line.
Yet they are not exactly known for their sentimental love of 1980s greeting card characters.
No, definitely not. They saw something highly specific in the math.
So what did they see?
Well, they looked at the Care Bears and recognized a massive well of cultural equity. The nostalgia was incredibly potent.
Okay, that makes sense.
But they made a fascinating determination. They concluded that this multi-billion-dollar, globally recognized brand was heavily under-commercialized.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because I have to push back on that. That conclusion seems totally counterintuitive to me.
How so?
I mean, we're talking about a 4-decade-old franchise. They already had hit TV shows, right?
Yeah, definitely.
They had plush toys in every bedroom. They had apparel in major department stores. How could massive private equity firms look at a multi-billion-dollar empire and call it under-commercialized?
It sounds crazy, right?
Yeah. Like, what metric were they looking at that the original creators missed?
It really comes down to understanding the fundamental difference between how a creator views a brand and how a private equity firm views an IP asset.
Okay, break that down for me.
The creators view the brand as a living narrative. But Ivest and Cloverlay immediately implemented a classic IP takeover playbook.
And what's step 1 of that playbook?
The very first step is shifting the core orientation of the business from CapEx heavy to capital light.
Let's define those terms because they are crucial here.
Yeah.
CapEx being capital expenditures, basically the physical money you have to spend to make things happen.
Precisely. Previously, the business model was narrative-driven. Meaning it was, let's invest millions of dollars to animate a great television show or a movie, tell a compelling story, and then we will sell toys based on that story.
Ah, so the creative content drives the product.
Exactly. But producing animation is incredibly CapEx heavy. It requires studios, writers, animators, and it carries massive upfront risk.
Because if the TV show flops, the toys don't sell.
Right. You're left holding the bag.
Which, I mean, feels like the natural, albeit risky way to run a character-based business. You have to make people care about the characters through stories before they buy the lunchbox.
Well, the private equity playbook flips that entirely. They determined the brand already had 40 years of baked-in goodwill.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they didn't need to spend millions telling news stories to make people care. People already cared.
So they didn't need a new movie to sell a T-shirt.
Exactly. So they shifted the orientation away from being a children's entertainment house making TV shows and strictly treated the IP as a consumer products licensing company.
Which means the narrative just takes a complete back seat.
Totally.
It's not about the moral of the story in a new cartoon featuring Cheer Bear or Grumpy Bear anymore.
No, it's strictly about the recognizable geometry of the bear itself.
The geometry, that's so clinical.
It is. The data shows they immediately prioritized scaling the geometric, colorful trademark icons.
So they basically stripped the brand down to its most recognizable visual element.
Exactly. The specific belly badges, the distinct color palettes, the silhouettes.
And then they just blasted those icons across modern retail channels.
Everywhere. They expanded way beyond traditional children's toys and pushed heavily into unexpected lifestyle categories, adult apparel, and what the industry calls high-low brand collaboration.
Oh, high-low brand collaborations. You see those everywhere once you start looking for them.
Oh, they're ubiquitous now.
Yeah, you will see a Care Bear stamped on a $10 t-shirt at a massive discount store, and then literally in the same week, you'll see that exact same Care Bear logo embroidered on a $400 limited edition streetwear hoodie.
Yep, they took that geometric trademark and applied it to every conceivable surface.
And this goes right back to our bakery analogy.
How so?
Because iVest and Cloverly own the exclusive legal rights, they didn't have to manufacture a single one of those hoodies, or weave the t-shirts, or manage the supply chains for the plush toys.
No factories to run.
Exactly. They didn't have to deal with shipping containers or factory overhead. They just aggressively exploited the intangible asset by licensing the vector files to the companies who already do the manufacturing.
That's the beauty of it for them. The manufacturer takes all the physical risk.
Right. They buy the fabric, they run the factories.
And the private equity firm just emails them a PDF of a Care Bear and collects, 10 or 15% of the gross revenue.
It is the ultimate capital light model.
Yeah.
Just emailing a PDF and cashing checks.
It is entirely capital light, and the results validate the strategy, honestly.
Oh, the numbers are wild. This wasn't some slow, methodical 10-year rebuild.
No, not at all.
By executing this legal takeover and shifting strictly to this licensing model, they quadrupled the brand's revenue in less than 3 years.
Quadrupled. In 3 years.
Yeah, they pushed retail sales past $750 million.
It's staggering.
$750 million simply by stopping the expensive storytelling and treating the nostalgia as a highly efficient toll booth.
That's a perfect description.
But okay, here's my natural follow-up to this.
Okay.
If you take a brand, strip it down to its visual IP, license it across every retail channel, and quadruple the revenue, what is the end game?
The exit strategy.
Right, because private equity firms usually want to cash out eventually.
Yeah.
So who exactly has the capital and the infrastructure to buy a $750 million licensing engine?
Well, when an IP asset is successfully optimized to that degree, it outgrows the mid-tier private equity space.
It gets too big.
Exactly. It inevitably attracts the apex players in the global marketplace. The entities designed to operate at a scale that is, frankly, almost difficult to comprehend.
Which brings us to the megalodon stage. The mid-2026 buyout.
Yes, the definitive agreement.
This is when a company called Authentic Brands Group swooped in to purchase the Care Bears franchise.
Right. Authentic Brands Group, or Authentic, is what the industry refers to as an aggregator.
An aggregator.
Yeah, and when we say aggregator, we're essentially talking about a corporate black hole whose only function is to suck up legal rights, centralize them, and manage them under one massive digital roof.
Right, and just to give you a sense of scale, listening to this, Authentic isn't just playing in the children's toy space.
Oh, no, not even close.
Their portfolio is staggering. They own the IP for global icons like Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, and major athletic brands like Reebok.
Just think about the pure diversity of that portfolio for a second.
It makes absolutely no sense on the surface. A 1950s Hollywood starlet, the king of rock and roll, a global athletic shoe company, and now 1980s colorful greeting card bears.
It sounds like a Mad Lib.
It really does. From a narrative's perspective, they share zero DNA.
But from an aggregator's perspective, they share the only trait that matters.
Which is?
They are incredibly potent, globally recognized cultural icons.
Wow. Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where the very meaning of the word ownership fundamentally shifts.
How do you mean?
Well, when a massive aggregator like Authentic takes over a character IP, the business model reaches its most abstract, highly evolved form. Remember, Authentic doesn't manufacture a single toy or animate a single cartoon.
Okay, I want to build on our bakery analogy from earlier because wrapping my head around a single company that owns both Elvis and the Care Bears requires a different mental model.
Yeah, the bakery doesn't quite cover it anymore.
No, it doesn't. Authentic isn't just a bakery owner holding a recipe. They are more like an electrical grid.
Ooh, an electrical grid. I like that.
Yeah, they aren't in the business of making the appliances. They don't make the shoes or write the songs or animate the bears. They just own the proprietary digital commerce platform that acts as the grid.
Exactly.
They absorb the legal rights into this centralized hub, and they just charge you every single time you want to plug in and interact with that culture.
That is exactly how it functions. The industry term for this final stage of IP monetization is subcontracted execution.
Subcontracted execution.
Right. As we said, Authentic does not employ factory workers to stitch teddy bears. They own the legal moat.
And how do they monetize that legal moat, practically speaking?
By leasing the right to use the Care Bears characters out to a massive, sprawling network. Following that 2026 acquisition, we are talking about a network of over 500 distinct third-party licensing partners, manufacturers, and media studios.
500 separate companies making Care Bears merchandise, all feeding back into one central grid.
Yep, 500.
But wait, if Authentic isn't making the products, and they have 500 different partners doing the actual manufacturing, how do they maintain any semblance of quality control?
That's a huge challenge.
Right, like how do you prevent a manufacturer from making a cheap off-brand product that destroys the consumer equity they just paid hundreds of millions of dollars for?
Well, that is where the digital commerce platform and the legal infrastructure come in. Authentic provides incredibly strict, centralized brand Bibles.
Brand Bibles, so rules about how the IP can be used.
Exactly. They dictate the exact Pantone colors, the exact dimensions of the belly badges, the approved messaging.
And the partners just have to fall in line.
The 500 partners have to follow those guidelines to the letter.
And the partners take on all the physical risk of manufacturing the plush toys, printing the t-shirts, shipping the goods, paying the factory workers.
All of it.
So why would a manufacturer agree to all that risk and pay a royalty on top of it?
Because slapping a Care Bear on their t-shirt guarantees a massive bump in sales. The cultural equity is already proven.
Oh, so the manufacturer gets the guaranteed sales bump.
Exactly.
And Authentic just sits at the center of the web collecting highly profitable royalty streams from 500 different directions.
It's a pretty sweet deal for them.
Which begs the question, what is Authentic's actual day-to-day operation? If they aren't manufacturing anything, what are thousands of corporate employees doing all day?
Aside from processing the royalty streams and auditing those 500 partners, their main operational focus is legal enforcement.
Legal enforcement.
They fiercely defend the trademarks in court. If an unauthorized vendor tries to sell an unlicensed t-shirt with a bear that looks even slightly like Grumpy Bear, Authentic's legal apparatus shuts them down.
Instantly.
Instantly. They're essentially a legal and financial fortress designed entirely to protect the IP and collect the toll. The legal department is essentially their factory floor.
Wow, the legal department is the factory floor. They enforce the electrical grid.
Exactly.
You don't get power unless you pay the centralized authority. So let's bring this all back to why this actually matters to you, the person listening right now.
Yes. Why should they care?
Why should you care about the capital-light corporate maneuvering of private equity firms or the scaling strategies of Authentic Brands Group?
It can sound a bit like inside baseball.
It can, but it matters because this is the invisible architecture shaping the physical world you interact with every single day.
Absolutely.
The modern economy has undergone a massive philosophical shift. We have moved away from an economy that rewards making things to an economy that strictly rewards owning ideas.
That's a profound shift.
It is. The entities taking the physical risks, the ones running the supply chains, pouring the concrete, shipping the boxes, are operating on razor-thin margins.
While the astronomical wealth and business growth in this sector are reserved for the entities that simply hold the legal rights to the geometry printed on the product.
Exactly. When these titans buy an IP, they aren't buying a cartoon. They're buying a legal monopoly over a cultural connection.
A legal monopoly over a cultural connection.
Yeah.
That is the core insight here.
Yeah.
You might love the Care Bears because your grandfather bought you a cheer bear when you were in the hospital in 1995.
Right. That is a deeply personal human memory.
But on a macroeconomic level, an aggregator bought the monopoly on your memory, and they are monetizing your desire to reconnect with it.
Man, when you put it like that. So what does this all mean when we zoom out? Let's trace the sheer scale of the journey we just explored today.
It's quite a journey.
We started in 1982 with a physical piece of folded paper, a greeting card designed by an artist to make someone smile. A pure creative endeavor.
Very simple, very pure.
Then we watched it organically grow into a beloved entertainment franchise that actually produced content.
Right, the CapEx-heavy narrative era.
Yeah. Then, in 2023, the private equity playbook was introduced. They realized the content was too expensive to make, so they stripped the brand down to its visual essence.
Its colorful geometric trademarks.
And utilized capital-light licensing to quadruple its value.
In just 3 years.
And finally, in 2026, we saw it swallowed up by a global aggregator.
The Megalodon stage.
The greeting card became a fiercely protected legal moat, managed by a digital commerce platform, sitting in a vault alongside Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe.
And honestly, understanding this structure is absolutely essential for media literacy today.
I couldn't agree more.
When you see a high-low brand collaboration, or a sudden reboot of a classic 1980s cartoon, or a vintage logo stamped on a modern product, you now understand the machinery behind it.
It's not magic.
No, it's rarely a spontaneous burst of artistic creativity. It is the highly calculated output of a global licensing engine executing a subcontracted playbook.
Once you understand that the modern economy prioritizes the legal fence over the physical product, it entirely changes how you consume the culture around you.
It definitely changes the lens. You start seeing the licensing agreements instead of just the characters.
You really do. Which leaves me with one final thought, something I really want you to mull over today as you're scrolling through your feeds or walking past those store displays. If the sharpest, most profitable business growth is entirely based on buying up legal monopolies over cultural connections, what is the long-term endgame for our shared nostalgia?
Ooh, that's a big question.
What happens when all of our collective childhood memories and our favorite cultural icons end up owned and optimized by just 2 or 3 massive mega corporations managing a proprietary digital grid?
It's a bit dystopian.
Does a beloved character fundamentally lose its soul when it stops being a living creative endeavor and permanently becomes a highly optimized line item on an aggregator's royalty spreadsheet?
That is definitely something to think about.
Next time you're walking down that store aisle, look at those familiar faces on the shelves and ask yourself who is really collecting the toll. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the world around you, and we will catch you next time.